All right, building a custom home can be one of the absolute worst decisions you've ever made or one of the best decisions you've ever made. I've been through the process, so I'm gonna give you 5 things you have to consider if you're thinking about building a custom home here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. If you don't listen to me, here's what's gonna happen though. You might end up divorced, crying yourself to sleep, or maybe both. I don't know, but let's check it out. All right, so like I said, hey, today we're gonna talk about the 5 things you have to know / consider if you're thinking about building a custom home here in the Colorado Springs, Pikes Peak area. Like I said, I've been through this process myself, so I've got some pretty good insight I'm gonna talk to you about. Before we get started on that, let me just remind everybody, hey, our channel, all about Colorado Springs, where to eat, work, live, play, wherever it is, whatever you wanna do. So if that's interesting to you, hey, take the time, subscribe to the channel, got some great information, put out new videos for you every single week. All right, so let's jump into it. So like I said, I've built a custom home myself. I've got a fair amount of experience in the area. I used to do kind of run the sales for a custom home builder here locally. I was the general contractor for my own custom home that my wife and I built. I've worked for a general contractor that built custom homes in the past. So I've got a pretty good experience across the board. So there's just some things, man, you have to consider or you're gonna set yourself up for failure. While I'm gonna talk about some things maybe specific to Colorado Springs, a lot of this stuff is gonna be nationwide, wherever you're at, it's gonna be applicable. So the number one thing, you have to have a budget, but it's probably not gonna matter anyway. I'm not gonna lie to you. You've gotta get a budget together so you know roughly what you wanna spend, but I don't think I've seen a single person, myself and my wife included, that have went into a build and said, hey, here's how much I'm gonna spend, and they didn't change anything at all. It's a custom home, you get kind of excited about it. So you get kind of excited about having these things you couldn't have in a home before, or maybe you weren't able to find in another house anywhere when you were buying resale. So it's just an exciting time, and you've got to get a budget together to at least kind of get some parameters in there, but also understand that that budget, it's not gonna be the end all be all. It's probably gonna change a little bit. I think for the most part, everybody will say at least 10% overage is kind of what you have to plan for. And whenever you go get a lender for the loan, for the construction loan, they're gonna make you figure in overages as well because they've been doing it for a while too. They know that nobody actually sticks to exactly what their budget is. Now, I will say that the custom home builder that I have previously done sales for, definitely had some clients in that experience that they stayed right on budget, man. They were disciplined. They said, hey, here's what our allowance is for countertops, and we're not spending anything more than that. Here's what our allowance is for lighting fixtures. We're not spending any more than that. So it's really hard to do, and like I said, set yourself up for success right off the bat by laying out what your budget's gonna be and be realistic about it and realize that, you know, don't think that you're gonna stick to whatever, like say my top line is whatever, $1.2 million, and that's gonna be it. If you say your budget's 1.2, you just kind of have to realize you might have some flexibility there and you might need to go a little bit over, or you're just gonna have to make some hard choices later. Or what I think you should do, set that budget a little bit lower than what maybe in the back of your mind you know you could probably do or you'd be comfortable with, and then really try to get to that number, knowing that probably down the road, you're gonna make some changes that are gonna pop that number up just a little bit. But like I said, it's been done before. It's just really hard to stay exactly on that budget. So that's why we say make one, but realize, it's probably not gonna be the end all be all number at the end of the day. All right, so number 2, you have to get your financial house in order. Building a custom home is not the same as, hey, I'm gonna go buy a resale home down off of Powers Boulevard here in the Springs. Gonna get myself a 30-year fixed rate mortgage and everything's gonna be great. They're gonna give me the loan, I'm gonna pay the seller at closing, and I'm gonna start making my payments. That's not how it happens. And it's not even the same as whenever you buy a new construction home from a production builder. That's largely the same as resale, where you go to your lender, you get a loan, and then whenever the house is ready, you buy the house from the builder. The lender gives the builder the money, and you've got a nice monthly payment every month that you just have right off the bat. Not the same at all whenever you're building a custom home. Whenever you're building a custom home, you're the one that's paying to build the house, not the builder. So you have to obtain a construction loan ahead of time, and you've got to have a lot of skin in the game. You've got to have a good chunk of down payment money, usually at least 20% equity in the game whenever you start the build, just to draw the construction loan. So that's money that you're gonna have up front, and then you're gonna have to make payments while the house is being built. So that can become a problem for a lot of people if you say, man, I really wanna build a custom home, but I still have to live somewhere. So I'm in my house right now, and I don't know how I'm gonna get all these finances to work. So there's a lot of things to think through on the financial side. Do you have to just kind of get in order? Do you need to sell your house to begin with? And then maybe rent for a little bit so you don't have that, you know, that big mortgage amount that's on your debt to income as you're trying to qualify for this construction loan? A lot of things to think about on the financial side of it. But like I said, just overall think, I got to get all my finances together. You don't want to have a whole bunch of debt laying out all these different places, car payments, credit card payments. It's really hard to qualify for a custom home loan if you have a lot of those outstanding debts. So man, try to kind of just think through that process, get in contact with a great local lender that does construction loans, that specializes in construction loans. As you can probably imagine, we've got a lot of resources. So if you have any questions about that, definitely feel free to reach out. We can give you all that good info for people here in the Springs, definitely across the state of Colorado, and even nationwide. We have lenders that help us out with clients across other parts of the country too. So that's number 2 is, man, get those finances in order. Number 3 after finances is don't settle on the location. So it's a big, man, it happens all the time. You know, people get excited about a house and they're like, man, that's the house that I want. I love it. And yeah, maybe it's not quite the exact area that I want, but man, I just love the house. You know what they say about real estate? It's all about locations. Location, location, location. So whenever you're gonna build a custom home, it's a pretty big chunk of change that you're gonna spend at the end of the day. And like I said, that's kind of a nationwide thing. Here in the Front Range of Colorado, it's definitely pretty pricey to build a custom home compared to some other options that might be out there. But that being said, man, like you don't want to skimp on the location. I highly encourage people, you know, build a little bit smaller house, save a little bit more money, whatever it is, but man, don't settle for the location. That's what everybody dreams about, especially here in Colorado. Like you dream about those mountain views. You dream about the pine tree forest that just flows out from the back of your property. Those are the things that you're just gonna love no matter how long you're in your house. You're probably gonna remodel your house at some point anyway, if you're there for 10, 20 years, whatever it is. So don't settle on the location right off the bat, man. I see people do it too often. I won't lie to you, those are the people that usually are picking up the phone and they're giving us a call year, 2, 3 years later and saying, you know what, kind of want to do this all over again, but I want to do it in this area now. And it's the same area they were thinking about at the very beginning, but they just kind of settled on the location, went for a little bit. You know, it's usually price point is what it comes down to. Everybody says, you know what, here's the house that I want. The builder says, okay, here's what it's going to cost. And they're like, oh man, I got to save money somewhere. And they try to save money on the location and usually isn't the best decision. Works out for some people, but I would say do not settle on the location. All right, so number 4, you have to pick a good builder. There's just no way around it. There are a lot of custom home builders along the Front Range of Colorado, Colorado Springs area. No matter what city you're at, no matter what part of the country, there's gonna be multiple custom home builders, I would venture to say, unless you're in a very, very rural area. But whatever the case is, man, you've got to do your due diligence and make sure that you find a quality home builder. Not only, it's gonna help every single facet of it. There's the obvious thing, right? And hey, whenever I get to the end of the day and I'm living in this house for the next 10 years, I don't want stuff falling apart. Most custom home builders, I would hope, would not be to that extreme. Some of them might be. So you definitely want to do your due diligence, make sure that you're able to talk with some past clients that have been in their builds for several years, super happy with it and all that stuff. You want to make sure that the quality of the home is there in every single aspect. So not just, yeah, my whatever, you know, light fixtures aren't falling off the ceiling, but you want to make sure that, hey, trim work looks good. Walk through houses that the builder has built or has available to look at. Maybe they're building for another client, and look at it through different phases of construction. You really, really want to make sure that every little aspect, every little trade that the custom home builder uses is top notch. You're paying a premium for a custom home, and you want to make sure the quality that you're getting is better than what it would be in a production build home. You know, kind of, I hate to use the term, but sometimes you hear the term tract homes, you know, in big communities. So you want to walk through homes that that builder is working on in different phases to really just make sure that the quality is there from day one. You want to make sure that, you know, obviously everything's got to be done to code, but that's like, I say that's like the minimum, right? That's like getting a D in math class in elementary school or middle school or whatever. You want the builder that's not just passing the regional building codes, but the one that is exceeding all standards. All the inspectors are shocked at how good of a quality the house is. Does that come at a price? Yeah, sometimes it does. Sometimes that does come at a premium. In a lot of areas, it's true here that there are wonderful custom builders quality-wise at every different price point, from like what I would call entry-level custom home builders all the way up to, you know, talking like $4, $5, $6 million homes that some builders are building. You can find a builder that has great quality at those different price points. A lot of that price point difference is usually location, what materials are being used, and then, you know, maybe kind of what standard features or what features are included in the home. So the quality of the builder is just, I cannot stress that enough. And it might cost more, but it's gonna save you so much headache. And the big thing that I'll say too about the quality of a builder, it's not just the physical construction, but it's the quality from the standpoint of communication. Are they looking out for you as their client? Or are they just trying to get the house done as fast as they can? Are they really pushing back on trades that maybe aren't doing a good job and looking out for your interest? Or are they kind of just like, hey, these guys are my buddies, it's probably good enough, right? Let's not worry about it. So it's not just quality from the physical construction part, but it's the customer service, how they make you feel, and at the end of the day, how that process goes for you. Did you stay on track time-wise? Did you stay on budget? Or did the number at the beginning sound really, really good, and then it was vastly different whenever the house got done? Not that that ever happens in custom home building, right? So you definitely want to make sure that you talk to a local expert, be it, someone that's worked with a lot of clients that have built custom homes, someone that knows builders in the area from, just reputation, whatever it might be. And then of course, do your own due diligence, man. Reach out and talk to those builders, call them, interview them. Don't let them interview you. They might try to a little bit and that's okay, but make sure you're interviewing them to see if they're a fit for you, because you're gonna be working together for like 12 to 18 months, probably honestly 18 to 24 months by the time, if the builder's helping you find a piece of land or something like that. So it's a longer term relationship than what it would be for like buying a resale home or a production build home. So make sure that it's a good fit personally, that everything just feels good, and you have confidence from day one in the builder. And if at any point in time, even once you've selected that builder, if you start to lose confidence, have the honest conversation with them. And if they are that quality builder that you expected and thought that they were, they're gonna work with you and they're gonna make sure you're happy at the end of the day. So do not skimp on the builder. Make sure you hire a quality custom home builder. Cheapest isn't always best, most expensive isn't always best. Find the quality one that fits for you. Do not skimp on that. Number 5, I think this is number 5 now, is make as many decisions ahead of time as possible. Building a custom home is gonna be stressful enough. So whether you're building up here in the Black Forest area, there's some lots down on the southwest side of town around the Broadmoor area, out east on the plains, east of Colorado Springs, a lot of new construction going on out there with custom homes on larger kind of mini estate lots, like 35, 40 acre lots. No matter where you're doing it at, and I think this is probably nationwide as well, it's gonna be stressful to a certain point no matter what. There's anxiety, it's a lot of money outlay, there's a lot of decisions to be made. And you're not totally confident. You're like, man, is that the right decision? Because like I said, when you buy a resale home or a production home, all those decisions they're largely made for you, and you get what you get. But with a custom home, you can change every tiny little thing. So the more decisions you can make early on in the process, it's just gonna help you out a ton. So whether it's, what cabinets, what light fixtures, what faucets, whatever it is, tile, flooring, carpet, anything that you can figure out ahead of time is gonna help out a ton. It's gonna help your builder give you a lot more accurate cost estimate as well as to what that build's actually gonna be like at the end of the day from a financial standpoint. So the more you can figure out at the beginning is definitely better, and it's gonna minimize your stress and anxiety as you go through the build process. Like I said, it's gonna be stressful enough, so anything you can do to minimize it is definitely gonna help out. And that makes me think of, we talked about the builder on the last one, as far as finding a quality builder. A good quality builder that has an in-house design team and maybe, an architect that's either in-house or that they work closely with, somebody that you can kind of partner with from day one to help you work through some of those decisions. I mean, let's face it, most of us are not interior designers, at the end of the day. So we probably want to listen to some professional opinions to make sure that we don't have, the green bathtubs and the blue toilets or whatever it might be. Lean on those assets and those resources that your builder has to help you through that decision-making process and kind of minimize that anxiety and stress as much as possible. Not always gonna happen, but you can definitely minimize it a lot if you make a lot of those design choices early on in the process. Now, like I said, we're kind of talking about Colorado Springs, Colorado Front Range, because hey, that's where we're at. That's the area that we know and love. It's where we all live. So that's the area specifically that we're talking about. Like I said, the 5 things that I think you should definitely consider that we just mentioned, those are gonna play nationwide. It's just kind of good sound advice if you're thinking about building a custom home. But I've got some bonus stuff for you if you're here in the Colorado Springs area. So local builders, I'm telling you, there are builders at every price point of the custom home spectrum, like I kind of mentioned. So when we talk about custom homes in our area, you're usually talking about right about $1 million is where you're gonna start on the custom side. Now that's, if you buy the lot and you have the house built, your all-in budget's probably gonna be about $1 million. That's on the entry side. Crazy to say that, I know. We've had a lot of price appreciation. So $1 million on the entry side, and then all the way up to, like I said, you can spend $4, $5, $6 million if you want to on a house here in the Colorado Springs area. But there's builders at every different kind of piece of that. And there's several builders that build from $1 million up to $5 million. There's just, it depends on what the client wants, what the project is. And it's usually just kind of scope and scale as far as, like I mentioned earlier, like size of the house, location of the house, finishes of the house that really drive the price up compared to just your, I hate to say your run-of-the-mill, your run-of-the-mill 4,000 square foot custom home, rancher on a basement kind of thing with moderate finishes. That's, kind of that $1 million price point. So definitely there are builders across all price points that build all styles of homes here. I think like a lot of places, modern farmhouse is still pretty popular here. Mountain modern, some kind of true modern, almost industrial look we see a lot of. And then just, what I would call traditional, very kind of normal, have been popular houses for, for decades as far as the exterior and interior styling of them. So we have builders that build all price points, all different types and styles of homes. And there's just a ton to know if you're actually thinking about building a custom home. This sounds cheesy as heck, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Yes, we literally teach the class on it. We have put together a class that we actually help other real estate professionals with, but then also people that are thinking about building a custom home. So it's about a 2-hour thing. We just kind of walk people through every little potential pitfall of the process and really try to help set them up for success. So if you need any help with anything custom home related here in the Colorado Springs area, please definitely reach out. Like I always say, call, text, email, hit us up in the comments, whatever we can do to help out. That's what we're here for. We just want to make sure that you guys are taken care of if you're thinking about moving to, relocating, moving within Colorado Springs, or maybe even building a custom home in our area.